Networking with the community.
Welcome to the
Radio
Business
Verulam.
on Radio Verulam, the voice of your local business community.
Hello, it's the 6th of January, it's 8 p.m, and yes, welcome to The Business. I'm Trevor Merriden with the show that's essential listening for the West Herts business community. This week we have Jonathan Rodwell, Managing Director of 500 Telecom Systems, who will tell us about his business journey. He's going to be joined by Laine, a board member for the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership, and also MD of Cheeky Monkey. We'll find out what Cheeky Monkey is in a little while later. Then there's our panel on the key business issues of the week. We'll be discussing what firms need to have confidence in for 2013 to work properly for them. And of course the concept of this Saturday. Finally, what does the term emotional intelligence mean to you and your business? Soft and fluffy HR stuff or excellent business common sense? We've been talking to Kerry Fleming of Ashridge Management College, who's going to help explain why she thinks all businesses need to see EI, as it's called, as crucial to your business success. And then we've got Clare McAnulty from Compact with her top tips for business. That's after I've introduced you to Roma and Vicky. Hello, ladies. Happy New Year.
Hello. Happy New Year to you.
Are you? Am I the last? I hope I'm the last one to say Happy New Year to you. So we've all been saying Happy New Year to each other for a little while. So how's your Christmas, New Year? How did it all go,
it was
Roma?
Good, quiet, which was nice.
Yeah.
I thought you'd got tons and tons of parties going on. Or was that just all before Christmas?
That was before Christmas, and it all got a bit messy. But never mind.
I think we all reached this kind of collective moment where we're just longing for Christmas to arrive and then the new year, and then we've got no more excuses not to see people. The people we put off to sort of January and so on, we can't do it anymore, and we just start to get on with business. It's a good time to be talking about it. I mean, Roma, what's been catching your eye? Are you thinking New Year at the moment?
I'm thinking New Year. Yes, it is indeed that time again. Time to start rolling out the New Year's resolutions. Some of us will vow to eat less, exercise more, live in the moment, be more grateful. You may even decide to bury the hatchet with the family member who makes you so crazy.
Never.
We've all got a few of those. No. But what about
There's too many of them.
Well, exactly. Well, what about your New Year's business resolutions? This time of year is a great time to start making and keeping business resolutions too. But sadly, like our personal goals, we often make them year after year with sincere intent, only to see them quickly fall by the wayside as we revert back to bad habits that we vow to break. But what about them?
Vow
to break. No. But what about the most successful people and their resolutions? Have you noticed how the most accomplished people just seem to identify the most important things and consistently get them done? If you study successful people long enough, you'll start to pick up on the resolutions they seem to consistently make. And here are some great little tips, just 3 little successful resolutions. First of all, why not spend more time on a not to-do list? We're all good at to-do lists. Creating a list of things that you're not going to do allows you to invest more of your treasured time on the few things that matter the most. So, focusing on what I'm not going to get too focused on or hung up on about.
Do you know, I think that is fantastic, because all the time, all through the day, you get a flow of potential distractions. And I think I'm kind of doing it a bit subconsciously at the moment. I'm just sort of kind of putting them over there somewhere, sort of in my sort of list down the corner. But then it's very easy, if they're things you want to do, which are distractions, about how to stop them sort of coming in until you've finished the end of your task. I think it's called self-discipline, which I don't always have. So.
Well, it is. And interestingly, though, I asked this question of some people that I was with at the end of last week. I said, right, first things first, do me a not to-do list. And the first thing that happened was everyone just looked at each other. Yeah. What am I not going to do? And then actually it was very interesting. There you go. Yeah. My second top tip is essential first, email second. What's the first thing you do in the morning? Well, for many of us in business, it's looking at email. So try tackling the most important and urgent tasks first, and don't let yourself get distracted by email. See how many times I do it? I'm terrible.
It's interesting, actually, because I know for a fact that Jonathan, who might tell us later, that he actually has set times of the day when he does phone calls, when he picks up messages, when he does emails. And, it's a really good discipline that he's got in his business.
I think it is a discipline. I'm terrible. I hear that ping on my phone and I think, oh, who's emailed me?
Is it
And
because the
it's-
ping makes us feel important, that somebody is trying to
Yeah.
get in contact with
But
us?
then you realise it's just another advert and it's all
Yeah.
very sad. So my final one is to resolve to think about who instead of what. Who do you work for? No. Do
you work for?
You see, it's New Year, can't get my words out again. Okay, so do you work for a what business or for a who business? Successful companies run the risk of focusing too much on their current products and distributors, thus the what, losing sight of the constant and dramatically changing needs of their customer base, i.e. the most important thing to do is constantly ask yourself, am I meeting the needs of those customers? And it
Absolutely.
sounds obvious, but it's amazing how many times people say, do you know what, I haven't asked them again recently because it seems to be going well.
And it's a great and easy time to ask customers the
Yeah.
new year because they expect things might change.
Yeah.
So, a bit of a small customer questionnaire going out saying, how's it going? Are you happy? What's going on? It's a very, very good way of starting the year.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people don't do it because they're frightened that the customers are going to say, oh, we hate you, we hate you.
Yes.
Well, actually, the sooner you find that out, the better because you
Yeah.
might be able to keep them. You might be able to do something about it by
And
changing
actually,
behaviour.
That's the key
don't
word,
know.
isn't it? Customers. If they're your customers, they're doing business with you.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask our listeners out there, what are you going to resolve to do? Maybe you could tweet your suggestions to us on @RVTheBusiness. Oh, I've got so many more top tips, but I think we'd need another show.
Roma's absolutely brimming full of top tips. Yes, we need to save up a few.
Yeah.
Just sprinkle them liberally
Over
through
the
February and
year.
March.
So they won't
and
all
so on.
be. Do you think we should say Happy New Year every show then? And say another resolution?
We'll just call them something different. Just call them something.
Yeah.
Yes. It's sort of,
Vicky.
yeah.
Yeah, so, well, there are some great bits of advice there.
Yeah, follow that, Vicky.
She always can.
Well, I sort of decided that I was going to get away from New Year's resolutions just for a minute, and I was going to go a slightly different route. My sister's over from Nepal, so I thought I'd do a bit of philosophising and prophesying this year.
Deep.
And my first prophecy, and those that know me won't be surprised by this, is that 2013 is going to be a brilliant year for small business. And why is that? Well, it's quite simply got to be. Because we've
can't
been
get
having
any worse.
such a rough time that this is going to be the year that it all turns around. And actually, I was listening to, sadly, another radio station on the way over here this evening. And, they were talking about confidence and having confidence. And the second bit of my prophecy is that the reason why it's going to be brilliant is because each of us is going to take responsibility for making the sorts of changes that will result in success and getting that confidence back in ourselves and in our businesses. And I'd like to bet that none of those most successful brigades that Roma talked of earlier spend any time whatsoever telling their peers that they had a bad year because of the recession, because of the double dip or the triple dippers or whatever they're talking about now, or because it's David Cameron or it's George Osborne or Tesco's or someone else has damaged their business. Successful people don't blame other people. What they do is grab hold of the opportunities that they see that are in front of them. When the going gets tough, they make the very best of those small things and take responsibility themselves. So, we know it's often said you can spot a true entrepreneur by what they do when they're down and the speed at which they recover, not the amount of money that they make when they're at the top. And if you look at people like the Dragons, Branson, Simon Cowell, every single one of them has spent time going back and sleeping on their mum's couch when things went a bit wrong.
Yeah.
But it's when they bounced back that's made the difference. So my sort of prophesying approach is let's make it the year of personal responsibility for your own business success. Plan your attack. Be prepared to change tack if the opportunity presents itself. But above all, keep moving. Keep believing yourself and that you're in your business and your success. And if it's in your hands, you can do something about it.
Yeah.
Blaming somebody else is just not going to crack it for 2013. So just grab hold of it and get on.
Do you know what? I was going to spend my little slot just have a bit of a moan about the rail freight terminal. That looks like it's coming back. But I can't be Ebenezer to your I mean, this is like a kind of cult of happiness sort of developing here.
Well, we're
Actually,
trying to make you a happy person.
Yeah, well,
it's
Are
not
you having
easy.
your photo taken today on the A414
I beg your pardon?
for the rail freight terminal?
Oh, right.
thing? I was asked to join in. But
Really?
I was going to Birmingham to take my son back to uni.
Right. Oh,
I
right.
thought that's why you were going to mention it.
No, it wasn't that. It's just it seems to have come back on the agenda. I've decided I'm not going to moan about that, though.
No, let's not.
Because, actually, I'm sharing this sort of sunny optimism as well. In my business, I feel like things are sort of starting to go quite well. So I think we're going to carry on with the sort of the positive vibe. And you may remember that we had a little Christmas message from Clare McAnulty from Compact Video just before the days of Christmas started. And she also, at the same time, when she was in our studio, gave us a little interview on top tips. And we're just going to hear a little bit from her now about what her top tips, best and worst decisions. You know, the sorts of things, listeners, that we have asked you to sort of send in, and she's one of those, and this is what she said.
My top tip would be to get someone to do your business cards. When I first started my business, I had to attend a network meeting almost immediately and decided I needed business cards. So I did my own business cards on my computer, went to the network meeting the following day and realised how poorly my business cards looked next to these professional business cards. So my big tip would be get someone who knows what they're doing to do your business cards, because it does give your business more of an edge and more of a professional look to it.
And Claire, how do you get most of your clients? Where do you get most of your best clients from?
My best client I've had so far has actually been got indirectly, and I find quite often you persevere with trying to get particular people, and not always, but quite often you can find that actually your best client or a good client can come from somebody that you least expect. So my tip would be just always be open to people and let them know what you're doing. You don't need to do the hard sell.
And how do you get repeat business? I mean, what's your...
What I would say is the best way to get work is to do each job well. And if you do each job well, before you know it, you've done 2 jobs well. Then before you know it, you've done 10 jobs well. And that is the best way to get work, because you then get repeat clients. So to put that in a nutshell, the best way to get good work is to do good work.
And what's been the most difficult thing in terms of setting up business?
I think I worked for large companies before I started my business. So what I found difficult was pricing. So when I first started trying to decide what to charge, that's difficult when you start. And I would say that the most important thing is just to do the work. If you sometimes undercharge, then forget about it. The main thing is that you've got the work done, and within a short time you realise what to charge, but it's always difficult at the beginning.
Okay. And then finally, did you have a light bulb moment when you were sort of in your first year of operation?
I would say my light bulb moment was when I first started the company. I attended a network meeting. I'd never been to a network meeting before. I'd only ever worked in a large company. And I remember going to this network meeting and just being astonished, first of all, at how many businesses there were within the small area that I lived, but also being interested to find out that all these businesses, I didn't really know very much about them before, and finding out that actually there was quite a lot going on under my nose that I hadn't been aware of, and particularly the networking I'd not been aware of. So I would say that would be my light bulb moment, was when I attended my first network meeting.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Clare McAnulty of Compact Video.
And there she is, Clare McAnulty, and I was very struck, Vicky, that she was saying to do good work, to get good work, you do good work, and it really is as simple as that, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a great tip, and it's such a simple tip as well, because if you are delivering a good product or a good service, then people will find out about it, and the best form of marketing promotion is word of mouth. There's no two ways about it. Testimonials, word of mouth, somebody saying, you should use that girl because she's fantastic at making videos for websites. There's no better, and it's free. Yeah. So good work delivers additional good work. Good
for you, Claire. And now you got your interview about to see someone else who's doing good work.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'm delighted to introduce Jonathan Rodwell. We've known each other for a good few years, and actually realised today that it's probably about 2 years or even more since we last saw each other. So we've got a lot of catching up to do. Jonathan, amongst some of his other roles, is also the MD of the St Albans-based telecommunications solutions company called 500. Now, I've sort of made up that description, telecommunications solutions. Is that the correct way of describing it, Jonathan? And welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Vic. And yes, that is a part of what we do. But life change, there's permanent change in any industry, and we did start off being a communications provider, and that has changed over time. And looking at our suppliers in those early days, we noticed their deficiencies, what they were doing wrong in supplying the service to us, and analysing those deficiencies over time, we flipped things around so that we are starting to supply. We've got our own R&D capability and starting to supply services to other telecoms companies. So there's been a journey, but yes, we did come from that initial point, which was supplying phone systems, video conferencing equipment to companies, and we still do.
Right. And so that sounds to me as though it's almost a leaf out of what Roma was talking about a bit earlier, almost in flip, as you sort of said. So it was looking at the services that were coming to you, realising that they were deficient, and actually modifying your business on the back of that, those deficiencies. Because if they weren't supplying you as a customer, then you weren't going to be able to supply your customers with a product that was satisfactory. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yes, that is spot on.
So from a customer perspective, why would I want to change my systems? Why would I want to look at my communications process, my video conferencing? It's a sort of delicate area, and people are frightened of if it's not broke, don't fix it. So do you find that you come along when people have got a problem, or are people really much more savvy now and they do want more from their telecom systems?
Well, there's a need. Everything evolves from a need. There's the office move.
Right, yeah.
An office move will raise questions. Should we bring our existing equipment with us? Should we have something new? We're paying for 10 telephone lines at the moment, £15 a line, 150 a month. Oh, this system, this latest IP system that we've been introduced to for our new office move, means that we no longer have to have the expense of these 10 lines. It can all be done over the ether, over the internet. So there are many reasons. Office move. They may have sub-offices. They want to join together seamlessly. There's no internal call charges between those offices. They may want to integrate systems such as CRM, call recording, and of course now one doesn't have to necessarily dispose of one's existing system. You can put a device in front of it and integrate it into what we now know as cloud solutions.
Yes.
So you can provide call recording in the cloud and a plethora of other solutions that will integrate into your existing system. And really the holy grail is providing the on-net, where you've got mobile phones, you've got your office line, all on one network, all being call recorded seamlessly.
So that sounds like a real customer service as well. If a customer calls in and they can't get, Jonathan's not in the office, then they get the message saying, oh, Jonathan's not in the office at the moment, please leave a message or call this number. Sounds to me as though now they don't have to call this additional number. What they do is that phone would then redirect to a mobile. If the mobile's not answered, then it might redirect to a colleague or some way it all links up.
It's called Find Me, Follow Me. Yes,
right.
So it can track you down that call.
Right.
But just stepping back for a moment, the advantage of the mobile phone, landline, etc., all being on net. And let's face it, in an office now, many business people will use their mobile phone and not that handset on the desk and be paying, fairly hefty tariffs for that. Whereas having it on net, it can share exactly the same call tariffs as if you had picked up the handset.
So it sounds as though there's huge benefits. Also, the big one, of course, which you did touch on, which is cost saving. But it sounds as though it's been a hell of a journey for you to get to that point. Did you anticipate when you set up 500 that it was going to be quite such almost like a change of process as you went along? Or is that the nature of the telecoms industry?
No, I think it's a natural progression. You go into a brand new business. This wasn't 8 years ago. This wasn't my business. I was on a very steep learning curve, and one has to do the due diligence, really get underneath the business. At the time, I needed a phone system for my existing business. And I saw that there was this new technology, there was the existing technology. With the existing technology, it could be provided for business in a proper manner. The new technology, there were tech heads, and they really weren't able to deliver it in a business format. And so I could see that we could bridge the gap, and that's how it started. But it's morphed since then.
Yeah. So from an MD perspective,
yes,
sounds to me as though you were on a hell of a steep learning curve. You were at the same time trying to run a business and presumably also trying to make money. How did you juggle that combination? It's not as though you could say, well, hold on a second, I'm just going to spend 6 months learning this new business. How do you juggle those things when you're setting up a business and you find that actually, there's a lot more to it than you'd anticipated, and you've got to move really, really quite quickly at the same time as needing to turn over and needing to build customers?
Well, I think the fundamental point that I came from was building a dream team.
Right.
So my initial partner, physics degree, subcontracted for Nokia, etc. So he had, those technical brains, and then building a team from that of real industry vets. Really? So when I am speaking to my colleagues, not my employees, my colleagues, it's a very flat organisation. Company. It's there's always points of learning for me. I'm learning from them. So that has been of great encouragement and support. The calibre of my colleagues.
I suppose, Jonathan, that's one of the things, isn't it? You need to be willing, in order to grow your business, to employ people who will know far more about certain things than you ever will, and to be comfortable. A lot of people can't grow their businesses, or won't, because they never get past that point, I suppose.
But I think those are dinosaur days, with the boss and the screw down mentality. To get the most out of people, they need to be respected. And one needs to understand their needs, not just to expect for them to understand the needs of the company.
Yes.
That's very interesting, actually, because there's this whole emotional intelligence that we might have an interview about later covers that aspect, that it's about, people is incredibly important. You talked about a very flat structure.
Yes.
That's an interesting one as well. So people take responsibility, which is the word I was using earlier.
Autonomy, yes.
Autonomy. So it's about them and their position within the company being as important as yours in the area that they're great at.
Absolutely critical, and trusted.
Yeah.
To carry out that role, of course, within a framework, not micromanaged.
Brilliant. So, how is the telecoms industry at the moment? I mean, it's a good time of year, presumably, because people do change things at this time of year. There's a lot of competition out there. How are you finding it? How is business at the moment?
There's always competition, but being in a market for 8 years with a fantastic team, we were able to unpick some fairly difficult conundrums for companies that are, sited, in different geographic areas. How to get down their call spend, bring in gateways that will reduce their mobile call spend, create one network, one secure network for their business. So, and the big challenge, if you want the big challenge in the business now, is in businesses, is that standard corporates will have their perimeter where the security is within that perimeter. But now the big issue is bring your own device, where they have tablets, mobile phones. There's company data on those devices. How are they secured? And this is an area of particular interest for us in how we can provide a service that monitors and maintains security, not just for mobile devices, but all computers, laptops, servers, gateways, etc.
All of the new, and there's new kit coming on all the time. So if you had got a New Year's resolution for the business, what would it be?
It would be to grow our research and development. We have a strong research and development capability now, and it's to focus on that, on producing market disruptive products rather than the same old, same old.
Wow, that's a big resolution. Oh, fantastic. Well, we wish you every success. As always, it's a great pleasure talking to you, Jonathan, and I always learn so much, and it's a complex area. So thank you very much for joining us. I know that you're going to be joining the panel with Roma shortly, and we hope you'll give us some more top tips for business. So thank you for coming along.
A pleasure, and thank you for the invitation, Vic.
Hi, I'm Kathy Weston.
And I'm Lydia El-Khoury.
Join us every Thursday evening on The Parent Show for expert interviews, local information about caring for children in West Hearts,
and a What's On guide you just can't afford to miss. We're here every Thursday between 8 and 9 p.m. on Radio Verulam 92.6 FM.
Don't forget to tune in!
You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam. We're the voice of the local business community on 92.6 FM and on radioverulam.com.
Welcome back to The Business. Yes, that was fascinating from Jonathan Rodwell there of 500. Now, we were referring there to emotional intelligence, and that's a subject which it depends on where you're coming from it. I mean, some people think this is a bit of a soft and fluffy subject, and some people say, well, no, this is innate, plain, common business sense. And we like plain speaking on this show, so we sent Vicky along to talk to Kerry Fleming of Ashridge Management College, and we focused the start of the interview on some of the myths around emotional intelligence at work.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are thinking, oh, it's that touchy-feely stuff. Now, I know that it's not touchy-feely, and you're looking at me with raised eyebrows. It's an awful lot more than that, isn't it? And the value that it can add to business is immense. Can you explain to the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. You're absolutely right. I mean, we have a lot of participants who come through the doors here, and inevitably people I meet on a daily basis outside of Ashridge who often think emotional intelligence is very much about being emotional, and it's not that at all. Actually, it's about being able to recognise what's going on in yourself at particular moments. So we talk about being aware. So awareness is very, very important. So we talk about intrapersonal awareness and interpersonal awareness, which means being aware of yourself and being aware of others. So one of the first parts of being emotionally intelligent is all around your ability to pick up emotions. So in yourself, so if you're in a meeting and you're finding yourself getting a bit stirred up by something that's going on, what do you do with that? So it's really important that you don't let that manifest into something bigger that will disrupt the outcome of the meeting, so to speak.
And being aware and being tuned in to the people around you, how can that really help business?
If you can understand how people are and how people are feeling, it's not about being inappropriate, walking up to people saying, how are you feeling today? But it's about being able to read the signs. So if you've got somebody who usually comes into the office in a reasonably good mood on a daily basis, and that mood is a little bit different, it's very possible that will affect the outcome of the day. It will affect team interaction, it will affect client interaction, and actually will become quite a contagious maybe mood that will filter into other aspects of what's actually going on. And if it's left unaddressed for long periods of time, it can be very, very dangerous, because we often come across situations where clients would say to us, that there's one particular person in the office who, when they walk in the morning, changes the whole atmosphere. They change how things are done. They change the whole environment. People being able to speak easy. Innovation is something that's very much affected by emotional intelligence, and something my own research looked at.
I can imagine that this is very important in a sales arena, in a sales team, where there's always an awful lot of talk about the energy in the room, and somebody's successful and it spreads. Is that something that crops up a lot within sales teams?
I would say definitely so, and there has been some good research out there that would suggest that successful sales teams are usually high in emotional intelligence.
it's almost like the skills are honed at a very early stage. So if a salesperson's calling into an organisation, I worked as a salesperson myself, you were picking up the mood of the company as soon as you sat at reception. You were picking up the vibe from the receptionist, what kind of a place is it to work? So salespeople are very much honed in and often can be really, really skilled at it. But unfortunately don't always listen as much as they should, if I could be so politically uncorrect.
I'm sure that's the case. For small businesses, I can understand how this can be really, really important and incredibly valuable when you've got big teams, when you've got management groups, when you've got the ability to really get under the skin of understanding this quite complicated area. For a small business person who might be even a sole trader, that's managing his business from home, how can they apply some of the sort of concepts that you're talking about to help them in their business?
It's, I suppose, one of the first things it's about, if you are a sole trader or if you're even an entrepreneur that has set up a business, how passionate are you about what you're doing? So when you talk from the heart, when you're being sincere and authentic and really believe in your product or your service, that will be conveyed to your customers. So that's the first port of call. So the client will pick that up from you. They'll pick up your mood around what it is you are trying to sell them. Also, if you've got if you've got one or two people working for you or with you, it's very important that you're able to pick up how they're feeling, what's going on for them, whether they are being as productive as they possibly can, and if there are any emotive obstacles which are actually interrupting your business. So I'll give you an example. I recently spoke with somebody who's managing a particular person, and this guy has been performing quite badly throughout the year, so hasn't fulfilled any of the obligations around sending an email once a week updating his manager on the team, hasn't been updating some of the data on Excel and various kind of technical stuff that he was asked to do. So an appraisal ensued, and the manager got rather cross and said this was ridiculous and that, they were going to have to go to HR and start managing this guy out. And the actual guy himself got very defensive and quite aggressive. And when we sort of explored it afterwards with the manager and we did some coaching, it turned out that the guy who was being appraised was actually computer illiterate, which you could say, but that should have been an obvious thing. But sometimes as human beings, we disguise the truth. We don't tell people what's really going on, and this fear manifests itself as quite aggressive behaviour. So when you...
That was Kerry Fleming there from Ashridge College, and it's fascinating stuff. I mean, we can play a bit more of that maybe in the next edition, but for now we're going to move on to our panel discussion.
We are.
And Roma, take it away.
Thank you. So yes, every week we debate the big business issues for small business, and this week we welcome back Jonathan Rodwell of 500 Telecoms. Welcome back, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And also introduce Graham Laine, who is a board member for Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership, also known as the LEP, and also managing director of Cheeky Monkey. Hello, Graham.
Hi.
And we're going to hear in a moment a little bit more from you. And Cheeky Monkey help businesses with IT issues, and I'm simplifying it, but I'm sure there's much more to it. So welcome both to Graham and Jonathan. And Graham, maybe you could briefly tell our listeners who Herts LEP are and what you're there to do as a board member.
I think it's probably best to start off what we're there to do. We're there to help support and the economic growth in Hertfordshire. That's essentially it. It's set up into 4 different boards, and one of the things that we're looking at as an initial initiative is around infrastructure. We think it's key to economic growth within Hertfordshire.
Oh, excellent. Okay, Graham. So I'm sure we'll hear even more about how you, as an organisation, help small business through the stories that we're going to cover. So my first story for discussion is that apparently, despite the ongoing economic downturn, and I know we keep talking about it, but that's because everyone else is talking about it, but we seem to find really positive stuff going on. A recent Federation for Small Business survey suggested that 2013 promises to be a better year for small businesses in terms of opportunities. So maybe Vicky's prophecy is coming true already. They put it down to the feel-good factor, post-Olympics and Diamond Jubilee, various signs of growth and a fall in unemployment. However, they also suggest that there are key issues which need to be addressed in order to give small business the confidence to invest in employees and take the plunge regards initiative. They refer to the importance of providing a firmer footing, as they call it, for businesses to grow and be confident about recruitment, and are supportive of government initiatives to reduce regulatory burden. Graham, mindful of the focus for and of Hearts LEP, what are your thoughts?
I think it's quite a challenge. I think employment or unemployment locally is very low. I think we run at 1.7, 1.8%.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. And it's actually being able to identify what jobs are available and what young people and older people are looking for in the way of employment, and trying to marry those up. I think there's a very big mismatch at the moment, and I think that's the challenge that needs to be overcome.
Do you think it is just about mismatch, or what else might be the hesitation of small business, given that if they're progressing quickly, if they're growing rapidly, surely they need to take on more people to meet the needs of that extra business?
They do, but I think the reluctance is around having the right skills and where you get those skills from, because it can be quite a distraction to take on somebody without any skills at all, or the right skills, and the amount of time and effort that goes into bringing them up to the right level that they'll add value to the business. In some small businesses just isn't viable, so we need to overcome that issue.
And it's a costly exercise if you get it wrong, isn't it?
It's a very costly exercise.
Jonathan, your thoughts?
Yes, starting off a business, having to pay national insurance contributions as an employer, having to pay the standard business rates. There should be a lot more support for businesses when they're those green shoots, but they seem to be on the similar playing field to established business. So that should be a game changer.
So what kind of support could we have? Because previously we've had organisations like Business Link, and I'm not just saying that because I did work for them for a while, but we had organisations like Business Link who are out there on the ground delivering business support to small business. They now deliver that online predominantly. What can we do that's not going to cost the taxpayer the earth?
Well, we had an experience initially going for an R&D grant, and when you're a small business and you're having to, you really do need that that cash to push the business forward, and it was such a form-filling exercise. Then you have to present, and the amount of time it takes to, when you need to be putting that money into the business, is unrealistic. So there should be support for business. Mustn't just be pamphlets, bits of paper and hot air. It has to be real support with cash. I cited a couple of examples: employers, NIC, etc. If there is a grant, making it simple and straightforward, so there is support in obtaining that grant, not just putting all that emphasis on the paperwork and delivery on those entrepreneurs that need every hour to make that business work.
Jonathan, a question about how when we hear a lot of politicians talking about cutting red tape and things like that, do you think politicians really understand what that really means? They say they do, but do you think many of them have never worked in business or been anywhere near business? I mean, I'm just interested, is there a mismatch between what you mean by cutting red tape or getting rid of bureaucracy and what the politicians think you mean?
Well, we have local politicians, and then we have obviously the national politicians. Local politicians tend to be retired people that are out of business, and now we're in an age where remote working is possible. We don't need to all congregate in these big committee meetings, etc. So we could have that business professional, that lawyer mum that's had to sacrifice her career, but will go back into the career. Maybe is doing some part-time work that's got a valuable voice, rather than perhaps someone that is retired with great will that may be completely out of the loop.
Yes, right.
Graham, do you think it is just about, first of all, access to more funding? Secondly, that we've got the wrong people supporting?
No, I mean, I have to disagree slightly on this one. I think certainly...
Well, we like it when people disagree.
Like
yeah.
That's good.
Our local politicians, most of them actually are employed at the moment and do come from a business background. So they do understand, certainly locally, what issues are. And I think the LEP has a role to play in this as well. I think the LEP really is there to engage with the business community in Hertfordshire at all levels, the small business as well as the larger business, and really understand what the issues are from the business perspective. And a lot of it is around skills, and actually work with the college and university to deliver the right skills that the businesses are looking for. And I think it's that communication, and I think that's a big part of the LEP's role, is making sure that the message of small business is heard by the people that need to hear it.
Do you think it is heard at the moment? Do you think it's heard properly?
I think people are fairly new to the LEP.
Yeah.
The LEP was only launched last July officially, so it will take some time for the LEP's voice to get out there. I know there's certainly some business forums planned for the early part of this year, so that we can take it to various different sized business organisations and listen, and then create a plan to support them.
Okay. Right.
And we're talking about one of the events actually a little bit later when we talk about events coming up.
Indeed.
Okay, so interesting stuff. Should we move on to our second topic?
Yes. Why don't we just play a couple of announcements first, and then we'll come right back to it.
Verulam Community Partners.
The St Albans District Talking newspaper is a local charity which offers a free news service to people who are visually impaired. News is taken from the Hearts Advertiser and is read and recorded onto cassette tapes and memory sticks, which are sent out each week. If you know someone who is visually impaired who might be interested, please ring Linda Randall on 01582 832275 for more information.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners. If you want to get in touch with the business on Radio Verulam, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.
So, welcome back. And our second story focuses on an initiative that was suggested for the UK by the Shadow Business Secretary, Chaka Amuna, that we consider adopting Small Business Saturday, a US-based initiative to encourage shoppers to support small and locally based shops. The scheme was introduced in the USA in 2010 and was set up to encourage local shopping on the first weekend after Thanksgiving. In fact, it was an initiative set up and supported by none other than Obama himself. The suggestion has been that we set up a similar scheme in the UK, and in fact on Friday I saw online that government have now announced they will adopt the idea, but it's due to run from next December. So what I would like to know from both of you is what you think about the idea in the first place. Could it work? And also, isn't December too far away? Shouldn't it be a more frequent event? Jonathan?
Yes, I'm struggling. Could you just clarify Business Saturday?
Yeah.
What?
Small Business
Saturday.
So the concept is that there is huge promotion around going local, as opposed to going and shopping with the big sort of national providers, and allegedly it's been very, very successful in the United States. Now I have to say, a little earlier Graham and I were having a bit of a chat and saying we're probably quite fortunate in this particular region or area in that I think the local residents do tend to favour shopping locally as opposed to necessarily going to shop with the nationals. But yes, the suggestion, the government has now decided, yes, this is a great initiative, and next December we will be promoting this initiative just before Christmas.
Well, as we're based in St Albans, you're from London Coney, I understand, and there's a wonderful retail park there, easy parking, traffic light coordination, etc. To come in St Albans can be quite a battle on the weekend, and you know, if consumers could come in and shop in a stress-free manner without bringing a car in, some sort of park and ride, that sort of initiative, that could make sense. So yes, I think there's probably further discussion to be had on that.
Okay, Graham?
I can understand why December was picked, because it'll have the best impact. A few issues. Firstly, a lot of people go into local shops and then look online and tend to find the product cheaper, and a lot of product you can buy online.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be a challenge around that. What I would personally like to see is something a bit more like having a business-to-business type event in the same way.
That's a good idea.
So that it's not just businesses selling to consumers and having a Saturday day. Perhaps we have something around business buying from business for the month of March.
So we have Small Business Month.
Have a small business month where businesses actually look at the service they buy and say, can I buy that locally for about the same price? And see if that type of initiative would work.
Is that something that someone like the Hearts Lep could adopt as one of their initiatives? I mean, you talked earlier about a lot of it is beginning to grow and develop, or do you have a strategy in place for encouraging small business to grow?
I think the strategy is forming at the moment.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's completely formed yet. I think part of the strategy will be after the engagement with the small businesses in the next quarter. And I think after that, it will be in a better place to say, yes, that's the right way forward.
Right.
But I would certainly welcome it personally.
So maybe it's an idea that could be looked at,
I would think so.
potentially developed. We'd like to keep in touch if that happened.
Absolutely. I mean, I do wonder about this kind of dedicated, for just a particular day when, and it feels like for some people that they should only be doing it on that Saturday. Actually, they should be doing it all through the year. I suppose the idea is to sort of jumpstart a sort of initiative.
That's what grabbed me about it, because I thought, well, they're making it sound like some fabulous initiative. But as you say, the way it was dealt with in the States was the Saturday around Thanksgiving. Other than that, there are lots of other shopping days. And is it just about saying, right, get out there and support small business? Is that enough to get the shoppers out there? As Graham says, they might go online instead. You look poised to say something, Jonathan. Go for it.
We like that look. The poised to leap look.
Poised and raring to go.
Go ahead. We built you up too much.
I think if you're talking about St Albans, let's say we take George Street, for example, there's speciality shops down at clothes shops. You have to try them on.
And in fact, one of them has a national and international focus.
Yeah.
Customers, that is. I'll say their name.
No, I'm not allowed to say names. But it's a very attractive. You could always be the Bond Street of Hertfordshire. And there's a good reason to come in and look good by buying your clothes in George Street, per se. But we have to bring down that resistance. And the resistance in St Albans is traffic.
Right. Interestingly, I've noticed that the Maltings now has extended opening hours. It's 24 hours, and they've slightly reduced the cost of parking. But I do take what you say. On Saturday this weekend, came into St Albans. It took me a long time to get through the traffic into a car park, which was quite frustrating when I only needed a couple of things.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to go to the market. I didn't want to go to the big consumer
I wonder whether
shops.
Actually a lot of people, I mean, we're getting slightly off the subject here, but whether a lot of people actually use the market. The market's the reason they come in, and then they actually end up using going into a lot of other shops, and as a result, perhaps. I don't know.
Do you guys come and use the market?
Oh yes, regularly.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One of St Albans' best assets.
I was in St Albans shopping both days this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to shop locally wherever possible.
Yeah.
I think we have to tie it in with tourism. I think there's an awful lot that we can do locally that will encourage people to come in, not just for the one item. So they'll come in and spend half a day or a day doing things within the St Albans area. Things around the museum. You've got some great shops, and there's lots on offer.
Well, the Verulam Road restaurant area now.
Yes.
So yes, many reasons to enjoy St Albans.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, gentlemen, for your contribution to the panel. We're going to just have a few announcements then, and then we'll start to a few diary announcements for the week ahead.
Join Simon Carver on Fridays from 6:30 p.m. for The Film Guide. We look at the UK cinema box office top 10, a selection of the new cinema releases and the best of the week's films on free-to-air TV. That's Fridays from 6:30 p.m. on West Hart's Drive Time with Danny Smith, exclusively on Radio Verulam 92.6 FM.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
People living with cancer or life-threatening illness can often feel isolated, confused and alone. Grove House in Waverley Road, St Albans leads the way in offering free specialist care and support to patients and their families affected by cancer and life-threatening illness in St Albans, Harpenden and Dacorum. To find out more about their services, or how you can become a volunteer, or make a regular donation, or leave a gift in your will, phone 01727 731 000 or visit grove-house.org.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
The Abbey Line connects St Albans Abbey train station at the bottom of Holywell Hill with Watford Junction and was one of the UK's first official community railways.
The community rail concept was designed to help create a more sustainable future, to reduce the cost of running the line without compromising safety or service, and to involve local people more closely in the development of their railway.
For 150 years, the Abbey Line has been taking people between St Albans and the centre of Watford and beyond.
It continues to do this, and all for at most £6.60 return, and in only 16 minutes.
For more information, visit their website, which is abbeyline.org.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam. We're the voice of the local business community on 92.6 FM and on radioverulam.com.
That announcement from the lovely Lucy, and now we move.
Lucy.
I do love Lucy. That's right. And now we're going to move.
says that to us, does he?
No, Roma and Vicky are perched on a single chair at the moment,
What you should be doing is suggesting that the studio is huge and terribly
expansive. Yes,
there are 5 of us in here.
Oh no, so we're all squeezed in, but we're maintaining our sort of air of professionalism. Let's get on with the diary items. Who's going first?
I think I am actually. There's a fantastic opportunity business breakfast on Wednesday, the 23rd of January. 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 at the Wicked Lady, 14 No Man's Land Common. That's Wheat Hampstead. And the talk is going to be given by one of Graham's colleagues, the Local Enterprise Partnership. He's the operations manager of Hertfordshire LEP, a chap called Paul Whitcomb. And he's going to talk about the emerging role of the LEP and how its influence is likely to grow following the Chancellor's autumn statement. He's also going to be discussing how businesses in St Albans can become involved through local chambers, etc., and help develop a shared approach. Sounds like a breakfast not to miss.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, Roma, have you got anything up your sleeve?
I have. I've got a few chamber events. Wednesday, 13th of February is business breakfast again, 7:30 a.m. I don't do 7:30. At Darcy's Restaurant. Guest speaker to be confirmed. Then we've got Thursday 5th of March, Chamber AGM and networking event at 5:30 p.m. at the Discovery Centre, Oaklands College. More details soon. Guest speaker, Oaklands National Apprenticeship Week. The guest speaker is Oaklands College about their National Apprenticeship Week, and National Apprenticeships, bearing in mind what we've talked about in terms of employment, definitely worth going along to, I'm sure. And then a St George's Day lunch on Friday the 19th of April at 12:30 p.m. at Sopwell House Hotel.
I do remember that from last year. I remember some of it, I think.
I was just going to say, are you sure? Guest speaker to be confirmed again, and if you're keen to do so, there's a sponsorship opportunity available. To book any of these events, go to stalbans-chamber.co.uk /buy-online/events.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of buzz about business buzz at the moment. I'm seeing them around all over the place, and they've got various meetings. If you're up for more networking, and or your diary doesn't yet extend to sort of April and so on, you're just thinking about the immediate future. Coming up this Thursday, there's Business Buzz in Hemel. Thursday the 17th of January, we've got another one in St Albans. There's more information at www.business-buzz.org. And then on the 24th of June at 6 p.m.
Jan, not June.
June.
Did I just say?
Yeah,
what did I say?
yeah. No, that's
Wishful
forward planning
thinking.
of too far away.
Okay, right. The launch of the all-new singing Hertford
All
Estate.
new singing.
All new singing, all dancing.
To Gavin Malone or whatever.
Hertfordshire Business Club at Beale's Hotel in Hatfield. I just said those last few words right, at least. Go find out about them and their plans for 2013. It says here. For more info, go to Facebook, and we're being encouraged to like their new page. I'm not sure about this like thing. We seem to always like, what does it mean?
If you like, you then become a follower, and then you get updates every time they post something.
Oh, really?
It's a bit out of date, though, that like business.
I think
it
so.
is. I like our Twitter feeds.
Yeah.
I think they're much better.
But the Hertfordshire, the business club that I used to go to was very, very good. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. Led by some very nice, very active people in the business community. So worth a look on 24th of Jan at Beale's.
I think so. So we've just got a couple of minutes now, possibly a little bit less. What have we learnt from our guest this evening? Sort of, they're looking at us slightly nervously in the studio. I mean, I think I picked up quite a lot. I mean, I thought Jonathan's journey was sort of tremendously interesting, and I sort of threw in a question about politicians and so on. What did you learn, Vicky?
Well, I always learn a load of stuff from Jonathan, particularly about telecoms, which is quite a complex subject. But I think from a business perspective, the bit that was interesting for me from Jonathan was that, the people element. That, without the best team, then, it's very, very difficult to make a good business work. And within that team, you need people with different skill sets. It sounds so obvious, but people forget that. And I think that's a great message to go out to all businesses.
I thought there's some great stuff, Roma, from both of them, and from Graham, our other guest, and in terms of some of the questions about 2013 and small business and so on.
I think we could have extended the debate, couldn't we, gentlemen? You were raring to
another
go.
week at least.
Yes. I'm afraid
Jonathan's gone all shy and quiet now.
Right, well, I'm sure that won't
Which is
last
very
long.
unusual.
I realise we're nearing the end, so I don't want to outstay my welcome.
Right.
Never. Never.
It's true. Alas, we are nearing the end of our show.
It goes too quick.
It does go too quick, but we hope we've informed and entertained. Sorry we couldn't do it, but we should have done a bit more on emotional intelligence, but I think we kind of got the gist of it as we were going along. And
it's such a big subject.
It is.
And Kirsty's so brilliant on it. It's well worth a revisit, possibly.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, we'll let lovely Lucy signal us out to the news.
Bye.
If there's anything in the show you want to talk to us about, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@